And we're back, everyone, for our next first take, and this time it's Illustrator with you, Julia Zieger. Woohoo! Super excited. The atmosphere is just great today. If you're joining us, we do track a chat on the Max website. Ask all your questions. I'll try and squeeze as many as possible in the next 25 minutes for you, Julia. Saying hi quickly, maybe?
That's exciting. Hello, everyone.
All right, who do you want to say hi to?
Hello, Brindley. Hello, Jessica. Gentry, Matt. Greetings,
Amazing, Sarah.
Cool, Stephen.
Robert. Thanks for joining. Julia, what are you showing us today?
Oh, well, there's one particular new feature on Illustrator that I just took and I ran with it.
Okay.
And I was hiding in my studio for a couple of days. I took a really deep look into it, and I'm going to share with you everything I know about it now.
Welcome back to the real world.
Yes. Yeah, it's Intertwine, and I created a project for you. So everything I'm going to show you today on the stream, you will actually be able to look up on this Behance project, as I like to do. First things first, in Illustrator, I hope you already updated, maybe you already played with it. Most important thing, where is that feature and what does it do? So it is not over here in the toolbar. It didn't get its own tool yet. Maybe one day it will grow up and has its own little tool icon. It's not over here anywhere. It is up here in the object menu when you go to Intertwine. And there you see you have 3 options. It is make, release, and edit. And as you can see, I already applied some shortcuts to it because as soon as you start using that feature, you will go down that menu tree many times, and you don't want to do that. You want to be fast. So I went into my shortcuts and I applied some nice shortcuts that I think are easy to remember. So it's Command I for make intertwine, it's release, Shift R or Option R for releasing it, and Shift Command I for editing it. And you're going to use that a lot. So if you want to know how to do that, you just go to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts, or what I like to do, you use the shortcut for the shortcut, which is Shift Option Command K, and it opens this little window here. And then you can go and select from this drop down the menu commands. Then you navigate to Object, and it's under here where it says...
You have your own Julia set in there.
I do.
I love it.
Yes, this is my name. There's Intertwine, and here you can just go in the field and give it whatever shortcut you want. So that's important because, as I said, you will use that a lot once you get into the grip of it.
We already have a question, Julia, and we have a lot of people from the US joining, but also it's super international, and there's Geneva, Switzerland.
Oh, cool.
And Thomas is asking, really basic question, what's the best laptop PC to use Adobe Illustrator? Is that your question, Thomas? Hopefully.
Ooh,
what are you using?
I'm using a MacBook Pro from 2016. No, it's a newer one. I have this little touch bar at the bottom. Top. Yeah.
That one, Thomas.
Yes, that one. I don't know. I think it actually runs on a lot of computers. Yeah, that's a question I just can't answer by heart. I'm sorry.
But it reminds me, or I just remembered to just let you know to update your apps. I mean, since yesterday, I think that's what you've been doing in that dark room of yours. But please go ahead and do the same. Update your apps and let us know.
Yeah, so if you want to make an intertwine, all you have to do, and here's the bad news first, you cannot intertwine a single object with itself. I know, it's outrageous, I feel you, but I'm going to show you a trick later, maybe if we have time to actually intertwine a single object with itself, which shouldn't be possible. So you just select 2 shapes right here, so 2 basic shapes. All you have to do is go to Object, there, oh no, come on. It's not doing anything.
It will.
So to answer your question, what computer you need, it's not a MacBook. Oh. Yeah, come on. Come on, I got so much to show.
We can go on to the next one. You're like, no, we're showing this one.
Oh, that's too bad. Here we go. Okay, 2 shapes. Go to Object, Intertwine, and say Make. And now you can see nothing really happens. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's changed is actually you get this sassy little lasso tool at the tip of your cursor.
Sassy.
And what you can do is just draw a selection around the objects that you want to make the intertwine to. And with 2 shapes, Illustrator automatically analyzes and knows that's the only thing you can change. So let's just swap that. There's no options, no drop down, not anything. It just automatically does that for you. It's really neat. The next thing I want to show you, these were just 2 basic shapes. So the question is, can I also do that with lines, with other objects? And the answer is actually yes. And it's really cool.
You can do anything, Julia. I believe in you.
Thank you. So here I have 2 lines. And the cool thing is they're not actually touching each other. See, they are, when I look into the outline mode, they just have a zigzag effect applied to them. And when I want to do the intertwine, I can just Command I this time. I have my lasso here and I can just go around and say where I want that to intertwine. And Illustrator is smart enough to know that there is a style applied and it actually touches them where the style would visually be, but not where the vector is. So this is actually amazing brain power there, I think. So you can go in here and just edit the way you want and make a really cool shape, whatever you like. And what you can also do is you come back in here again, draw a circle around it once more, and it reinverts it again. So that's really cool. Another thing that blew me away is that you can actually do that with brush strokes. So here I have two vector shapes. It's just a line. They both have a brush applied to them, and I can select them, make the intertwine, and just choose any area I want the two shapes to overlap, and it will do it to the brush stroke, the effect itself. It's really, really cool. Another thing, and I think that might be a great news for everybody who's into the 3D effects, the new 3D panel in Illustrator, is that you can do that with 3D objects. And this is big. This is big time because the 3D objects themselves don't have any, way to bring in depth or 3D realism. They are always just on top of each other. If you want to create more depth or space in your illustration, you actually have to go to Illustrator or use the masks. But now, watch this. I can just select those two ghosts, go in here, make the intertwine, and tell it, please, in this area, swap them out, and it will give me these little highlights here. So I can actually go there, right-click on the first ghost, and say bring to front, and there is my ghost. I can do the same over here, say, come on, there you go, there, just touch it, and bring to front, and you can see it's overlapping them here, but here it's still in the same area, and that's really cool. And you might also notice that it's actually also applying the drop shadow from that 3D object to the other object, which is awesome, because that would look funky if it wouldn't do that, but it recognizes everything that the object actually has. And when you do that to this object over here, that's just a ghost and the font. The font is still live. I could change it. I could change the typeface, everything. I just go in here, Command I, and I choose that. And now I want to show you something that's really important. If I just make a cut right here and select that ghost, now it's in front, but you can see that the drop shadow from the eye is actually making this hard line here. And you don't want that. So I'm going to take a step back, try it again. And this time, let's deselect. I have to be careful. So.
Michelle in the chat is actually asking, hi from Canada, by the way.
Hi.
Does it work with fonts or only outlined fonts?
No, it works with real text, yes. It's not an outline yet. I can still go in here and say, instead of eek, I wanted to say woo or whatever. So if you have an intertwine applied, it's almost like you can click in there and go into isolation mode with it. You're used to that, right? So up here are the breadcrumbs. I'm in the intertwine right now. I can go in here, change the font, change the size, or change the color of the object. Also with the ghost in the back, it's a shape with a 3D object or effect applied to it. I can go in there, change the gradient, change the 3D material, the lighting, everything. So it is not expanded at that point. So if I want to edit it, I just hit my shortcut right here. And this time I want to be really careful because right here, I don't want to get this shadow in the way. So there's one cool thing that you can do when you have your select tool in the edit mode. You can hit Shift and you get a rectangle, and that is by now at the moment the only tools that you get to actually select something. I hope that with some feedback from us that the team will actually bring in another tool like maybe circles, spheres, so I can make a perfect sphere or something like that. But this is a really amazing tool, and look at that. With the rectangle tool, I was able to actually get that shadow in there. It's really neat.
Oh, we have so many questions coming in for you, Julia. This is just crazy. Everyone's amazed by just the tool itself. And okay, where do we start? Anson is asking what happens if you have more than two objects.
That's what we're going to cover next. Great question.
With transition goals.
So as you can see, I have a file here with the name More Shapes, more than two shapes. And let's just select them, right? So you can see this is already a bit messier or more complex. So you actually have to also bring in a little bit of thought before you do your illustration. You have to think which shapes do I want to have in front, which in the back. But since it's not destructive, it's non-destructive, you can always go back, release it, and try again, change the position of certain things and just, go with the flow. So I'm just going to make an intertwine right now. And what I want is to have this big blob here in the background, actually, this one. So when I have more than 2 shapes, Illustrator is not just automatically doing anything, it's waiting for an action from me. So it wants me to tell it which one's going to the front or back. So I can right click and you can see I get this highlight here around the shape. I can right click, get this context menu and it says send to back. And I want that. Yes, send that thing to back. So now I have this big shape in front, but I would also like this shape to actually be in front of this one. So I can go in there again like this and say, this, please, oops, right click, bring to front. Beautiful. What else do I want to do? This sphere up here, I would like to have that in the front. That's important. Doesn't make sense if it's hidden in there. So send to back. Oh no, that's exactly the opposite that I wanted. So let's do that again. Boom, right click and bring to front. There we go. It's easy as that. And now you can see all the shapes are intertwining. It's really fun. And all I have to do is boom, click on my ghost shapes and I have a spooky Halloween illustration. Because you thought this would not be a Halloween theme. You're wrong.
I was going to talk about the artwork. I'm like,
yes.
Can we just give a little bit of credit to all of this?
It's October, right?
Yeah, I love it.
So I hope this answered your question. So every time you have more than 2 shapes, you get this context menu where you can right click and say bring to front, bring to back. Also in steps, so one after the other, you can bring them slightly into the back or the front. So you have a lot of control. There's just one thing that you have to be careful about with the selection tool is when you draw a selection like this and you just highlight something, there might come a point where you get these little fragments here. And the thing is that Illustrator just draws a virtual mask for itself that you can't see. It's not visual to you. And maybe that would be something they could bring with an update that you can already see like the mask shining through so you know where you already made a selection. Because with this, there is actually no way of bringing that back. The more I draw, it's just going to invert everything I did. So you have to undo from that point or release and start again. So you got to be careful with that. Okay, so let's try a little bit more complex stuff, right?
Oh, it keeps growing. We're already amazed everyone in the chat, Julia. You can't get better
well,
than this.
I hope you love that feature because it's a lot of fun. So I have a little bit more complex thing going over here. This is my boo graphic. I have a lot of ghosts in the background and I have this live text right here. So let's just go and dive right in. I make a selection of all the shapes and the font, click Command I to make the intertwine. I get my lasso tool and now I can start to take a look at everything I got going on here. So maybe I want this graphic to be in the front. So I go in here and you can see it's already giving me the highlight of the font. If I want the font in the front or in the back, I can do that. So I'm going to click on that ghost, bring it to front, and you see it starts intertwining with the font. Actually, it's really fun. Let's try this little guy here. Hover over it, you get a nice preview, bring to front. Oh, see, and that's already I made a mistake. So I have to go undo and try again. Edit. This whole area I want to have in front of the letter. Bring to front, there you go. And here, I actually want the letter to be in the back. So I select that, send to back, it's easy. Over here, that one's easy. I want this to be in front of that ghost. Bring to front. Over here, this whole shape I want to have in the front. Select, bring to front. And over here, again, the exclamation mark I want to have in the back, like this. Oh, wrong button. I already have like a muscle memory for the bring to front button. There you go. This little fellow over here, bring to front. That didn't work. You gotta really hit the line there. And you have to, if it's hard for you to actually see those lines when you hover over them, it's the color of your layer. So if you want to change those, this is actually the color of the layer that my shapes are on. So if I would add it on this layer up here, I would get these brown lines that might be hard to see. So you just can go over here. How do you do that? I always forget that. Click on it. What's that? Wait a second. There's a command. Command and double click and you get this little option here for your layers and you can just change the color. It's something that you can see better. In this case, cyan is really good. It's pretty bold and I can see what I'm doing. So let's take a look at this area here. What I want is, I want the white ghost to be in the front. Come on. Select, edit. I'm getting my edit. Here we go. Select the ghost. I want the ghost to be, oops. Try again. There we go. Lasso tool. shift around it, select my ghost, say bring to front, okay? So now it's in front of my letter, but I also want the blue ghost in the background to be in front of the letter, but behind the white ghost. So what do? I make a new selection, I go in there, like this, I select the blue ghost, and I just say bring forward. So it's making one step, but not to the front. So the white ghost is still has the stage, and the blue one is in front of the letter. So it's actually really as easy as this. So you can see you're getting an intertwine effect really, really fast. It's nice to just has different illustrations. Like if you want to do a logo design or an illustration, just go in there, bam, 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 you bang it out. Before you build a complex mask in the mask panel or you use the shape builder tool, this is awesome for prototyping. But if you want to expand that, it might actually get messy for you. So you have to understand when to use it and when not to. So one great new feature in Illustrator is actually the history panel, and it helps you a lot if you are working with this tool. So let's navigate to the history panel. And one cool thing that it has, first of all, you can go all the way back at the beginning when you started working with that document. That day, when you close out of it, the history is gone, so it's always this one session. But there's this little button down here that says create new document from the current state, and this is so cool, especially also when you work with recolor artwork. It's a game changer. You all know the pain of not being able to go back to a color scheme that you had before. So this is awesome. It takes a moment, and here we go. It created this awesome little file from my current state. I can just go to trim view so you don't see the gunk around it. Yes, and it's select this whole thing and go to Object, Expand Appearance, and ungroup it. And let's take a look at what Illustrator actually does when it intertwines something. So as you can see here, let's ungroup again. Ooh.
And I do hear you in the chat. I know there are so many questions coming through, not just people being amazed, but also more detailed questions. Yeah, you're with us on Adobe Live and you're a guest host. We have plenty more sessions outside of Max, so you'll be able to share a bit more of how you get this grainy texture. We have Dimitri, who's just amazed by your shadows. Amanda, Jen, Andrea, all amazed by this. So yeah, you do showcase more of your work on other channels because we won't be able to address everything.
I know, I would love to, but yeah this is just an intertwine today. So what I want to do right now is actually, let's take a look. It's still an intertwine object right now. So I want to go to Object, Expand Object and Fill, and hit OK. So right now, it didn't really do it. So let's do it again. Expand. And here, oh, wait a second. That's not my intertwined state. Let's try again. Don't save. No problem, because I got the history panel. I can go back to my first document, create a new state.
The rainbow wheel.
Have some elevator music playing in the background, maybe.
In the meantime, Carla is asking if you can edit shapes once they've been intertwined.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as long as it's an intertwine and you have not expanded it, you can just go in there. Like I said, it's like double click on that intertwine object, and it's like the isolation mode in Illustrator. So you can go in here and you can say woo instead, but notice that the mask that you created will not move with it. It's not that smart yet. Maybe one day, I don't know. So what you would have to do is actually go back, maybe change that goes over the W, change the mask again, or start over, which might be painful, but an option. Or you're just cool with, hey, this looks like the ghost is going through that W. I dig that. So you just stick with it. So what I want to show you actually is what happens when you expand it. So let's see if it works this time. Expand experience. No.
And hi, Monica, who's in the chat as well, answering some of these questions while we go. Best support we can get from this community.
It is. Well, it doesn't work this time. Maybe in this, let's see, expand experience. Or I just show you with a simpler illustration like this one. So we go in here, it's light and shadows. Go to Object, Expand Experience, and hope it works this time. No, it's just undoing it. So What it actually does, if it's not wonky today, like in my case, it creates a little clipping mask around the area that you selected. And it actually simulates it kind of copies the objects that you had in place, changes the hierarchy, and creates a mask around it and calls that a clipping group. And if you have lots and lots and lots of selections made, this is going to get messy. So I just want to show you on the Behance project I did. There is a little preview that you can see.
Oh, you're the best at these Behance projects. Mastermind.
I love them. It's so much fun. So right here you can see this is what it looks like when you get out of that expansion mode, right? So over here you see a fraction of this. This is just like, it's like a puzzle piece. It did draw over it. But this will not work if you want to give that file to a client, if you want to turn that logo into a die cut, or if you want to send that to a plotter. There are too many lines in there. So if you want to take that design to production after you're done with the illustration and the design process, you actually have to go in there, take that kind of as like a sketch or an idea, right? And then you have to build it so it's clean and neat, like with the shape builder tool or mask, whatever you need. So that's just one thing that you have to keep in mind when you're working with that tool. So something else really important. In Illustrator on the iPad right now, says it's supporting the intertwine, but only visually. So the moment I open one of those documents on Illustrator on the iPad, it expands it and there's no undo. So that's a heads up for you. Maybe keep a copy of your file or save it in the library, anything. Just make sure that you're not accidentally opening it and then your artwork's gone. Because when you do expand it, also the shapes will not, depending on the styles that you applied, the shapes will not be vector anymore. It might be a graphic, and then your illustration is really lost and you have to build from the ground up. That might be frustrating. So as I promised, we still have 4 minutes, right?
Yeah.
How do you do a shape with itself? So you all have probably done one of those nice blends where you have one circle, another, you turn it around, one nice vector shape, turn it into a letter, and then you want to actually change, which is front, which is back. So in this case, I'm just going to select the blend, copy and paste, and I can go over here in my layers panel and just swap those two out. So now it's backwards, right? So if I close out of that blend, you see this and this. But what if I want to intertwine that? So you just copy that thing and intertwine it with itself, so to say, with a copy of itself. You're gonna select that, go Command I, that's my shortcut. And now I have to be careful because you have to be smart about that. You can see if I just go in here and make, any selection, since the objects are not similar, they're not like identical, there is a difference in the blending in there. So you see right here, that's a hard cut. You can see it's not the same object. It looks strange. Unless that's your style, then go with it. That's cool. You can use that on purpose. So let's try again. And this time, I actually want to really hit that mark here. And you can see I have a graphic pen right next to me. I'm not using it. I have my finger on my trackpad. I don't know why. I could be more precise, but I kind of chose to use my hands today. So now it's in progress. And there we go. Zoom out. And you can see it uses both directions now. You intertwine the object with itself. And you can make crazy cool illustrations, designs, patterns. And actually, this is your time now to take this tool and run. I want you to try to intertwine shapes, lines, brushes, graphics, maybe even pixel art or whatever. Are we out already?
We have a minute.
Try objects with different blend modes. What does that do? I don't know. You try and tell me. I have no idea. This is a great tool. It has a lot of potential. You just have to know what it does, how it works, and how it might be harmful to your process if you're not careful. But for designing and illustration and coming up with ideas, it is amazing.
As Anka said in the chat, we'll end on this. This is spookily good, Julia. Yeah. And we'll just go on to fresco with Melanie now. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more.
Have fun with it.
bon, dis-moi que ça va.